It's waifu time! Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the Snail Shell RA-02 Tactical Maid Tokiwa Kazane. This is another Snail Shell original, and as you can clearly tell, it's a maid character with long blue hair and weapons. This is a tactical maid, and this is also a figure that on their own social media they highlighted the Pansu part a lot. So how the hell can I say no to cute waifu design with guns and Pansu? It's like it was made for me. So let's have a look at the figure. Oh, and by the way, while you're here, do me a favor, please like this video, comment down below which one is your favorite Snail Shell release so far. I know they've been ramping up with some good stuff. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can stay tuned for more Snail Shell figures. Size of the figure, she stands at about 15.5 centimeters to the top of the head. If we're taking like the head ornament, it's 16. For your inches, we are going up to 6.1 to the top of the head, almost 6.2, and then for the headdress, that's 6.3-ish size comparisons.
Here's Jolter, the SH Figure Arts Sangoku, Snail Shell Grisa, Sister Muse Asdo, the Succubus Lustia, and Darkseid.
Overall look and detail. I mean, I like the look, otherwise I wouldn't have picked it up, but having it at hand, it feels really good, but also has some of the common issues I've had with Snail Shell. More on that in just a second, but I do want to focus on the good parts. First and foremost, we do have a beautiful face sculpt. Eyes are a lot more glossy because we have the movable eye feature. There's a really nice bright blue with a little bit of orange accents. And then the hair, first and foremost, is beautifully sculpted. Goes in like lots of different ways, and even like especially the big wavy ponytail. But man, it's really that much more elevated through all of the beautiful shading, the layers we have in there. I could say, you know, it's very subtle, but it does pop in a good way. Also, we do have a lot of detail in her headdress, and that's another aspect of the figure that I really much enjoy. Looking at the headdress on its own, you have some metallic over the ears, then you have like a matte black, but a lot more of a glossy yellow. So the yellow has a tiny bit of bleeding, but not much for me to complain about. We do have the maid headdress, a beautiful white, and we do also have the communicator, the little microphone sticking out. This one is soft-ish, but be careful with that. This is something that might break off if you're not careful, but it is somewhat protected by the hair, so we do like those. Then we have some more metallic on the straps that go around the big boba. I mean, the fan service is strong for this one. Also, we have some shoulder pads, a little bit more of a matte paint job on that. And as we move down to her beautiful hips, we do have the soft goods in the skirt area. Also have the ribbon in the back. All of this is cloth. So that's a really cool combination, by the way. And just looking at the figure, it doesn't stand out, like, at least not in a bad way. So I do very much appreciate, and I like the idea of not giving this like a completely soft good dress, because most of the time those look kind of weird. We do also have the glove, and the fingertips even have some detail on there. Very nice. As we move down, you know what it is? It's Pansu time. So we do have a Pansu in there, which is removable, and she does have one hell of a camel toe in the front. So just saying. The one thing where also there's some more detail, there's the tummy also molded under there. One thing I don't really like is the way they made the butt. That's just gross. No matter how you align this, it doesn't look really good. It's a shame because you focus on the Pansu, but then you make a butt mold which looks out of place no matter how you turn it around. Then we move down to the legs. They also have like a little bit of an X shape. They go out to the side. At first I wondered if that was an issue on my copy, but looking at some pictures and whatnot, this seems to be the idea. So no issue with that really. And then we get, as we move down to the legs, I want to bring up the part that I don't like as much. It keeps the pose, but all the joints in here could be, I feel like, a lot tighter in the knees and especially in the feet. This is way too wobbly for my liking. And that's one of the common issues I have with SnailShell. I think the figures look amazing. The paint job is really clean and does cover like a lot of ground, from the metallic to the glossy to the matte paint. But then the joints, yeah. Again, he does hold a post. It's not like a floppy freaking mess, but taking out of the box, like immediately I was like, oh no, not this part. And then the knees, it's like, yeah, you know. Also, you can swivel this one, but that's more part of the articulation, which we're gonna have a look at right freaking now. So originally the head sits on the shoulders quite well, but then you have the option to pull it out, and let me have a look with that. If you get the full range, the back of the hair is somewhat limiting the backward movement, but it's still fine. Side to side is also nice, and also you can swivel the head around all the way. Just be careful with the tiny microphone in there. Have a small, very small ball joint in the ponytail, so you can bring that up and down just a little bit, and also can be swiveled and also tilting, you know, just a whiff, just a teensy tiny bit. Then for your shoulder articulation, it's quite a busy design, and the ruffles are really getting into the way of like a lot of things. First and foremost, moving up the shoulder isn't that great. It's fine, but we do have, very similar to Figma, you have like a ball hinge and then it goes into another ball into the chest area. So you can pull this up or down and bring it a little bit side to side, wiggle it around, and you get some more range with that. And obviously you do have the ball hinge in there, which does go up and down. And then we also have a bicep swivel, nicely hidden under there. Also stability of the elbow joints, so a little bit wobbly, could have been better. Then we have a double hinged elbow, and also you can swivel around the top part of the glove. This one is stuck. I got it to work on this side, yeah. So this piece is floaty, can rotate that around as much as you like. And for the hand, classic stuff, you do have a ball hinge in there. Bring that back and forth. They left it quite some room, so that's nice. But the forward movement, once again, is completely blocked by the design. You don't really get much more than this. Even if you shift it backwards, I think that's the best you're getting out of it, which is a little bit unfortunate. Then for the torso area, this one is quite nimble considering the big boba. Hold on to the lower half, but you do bring that back and forth. Has some very nice rotation and does swivel quite freely. Then for the hip part, also by the way, you can lift this up if you fancy that. And you can take it off because there's an opening in the back. There you go. Just open this and you could take off the skirt. But I'm gonna leave it on because I wanna show off the entirety of this figure. So we do have hip rotation. Let me actually move this up to give you a better look at this. It does rotate at the hip part and also does to the side a little bit. Can bring it forward actually quite nicely. Probably gets into some sitting poses. And to the back, it's fine. Then we do have the leg joints, and those are, I don't know how to feel about it. So it's like an L joint. You see the ball in the hip area and then another ball in the leg itself. It works, but again, it's not my favorite connection. You do have a quite nice swivel. It does look pretty clean, and you do get some side to side. You know, it can rotate it on the ball inside of there. As such, let me try for some high kicks. The punks do get somewhat in the way, and it really depends on like which angle you're getting it. Also, this is quite thin. I gave it like a little bit of push, and I already felt like don't push it too hard, it might break off. Backward movement is fine, and then, yeah, I don't know. This is weird to work around with. Then we also have a thigh swivel, which I didn't even expect. I didn't even see it at first, but we do have a beautiful thigh squish. Also forgot to mention that. Very important for this review, vital even. Double hinge knee, and then we get down to the boot. Do you have another swivel in there? No. It looked like it for a second, but you can swivel the boot all the way around. This piece is not a floaty one, from what I can tell. And then we get to the ball hinge at the lower half. Just be sure to have that aligned. So you can rotate on the hinge itself, but also the foot is, I want to say nimble, but it's just too loose. So we do have a pivot, side to side. Forward movement is nice. You can hear the noise over there. That one's nice and tight. I wish the rest had some more of that. And then we also have a toe hinge, which does move up, and it does actually also move down. Very natural, but you know it's there if for your toe hinge enthusiasts. It's there and it works. For your accessories, you do have instructions first and foremost, standard stuff, and then we have a belt to hold on to her ammo, for lack of a better term. Do we call this a belt? I mean, it's kind of convoluted as a belt. But anyway, we do have some nice metallic on there, a little bit of yellow, and I did put a magazine in there. Eep. And it just pulled out. The magazines are amazing. You can see the bullet shells in there. Boom. Yeah. The attention to detail on here is mind-blowing. So we have 6 of these in total. Well, there's one more in the gun. So let's have a look at the gun. I don't know which type of gun this is supposed to be. Let me know down in the comments. I don't really know much about these kind of things, and the instructions don't really tell me. But it's hella detail. It looks pretty realistic, actually. And if I could, the only way I think I could nitpick, like there's no paint in the visor. There's no paint in the front. It really could have used a little bit of black paint in there. But anyway, I mean, the gun looks phenomenal. Has some shading on it, and yes, you can remove obviously the magazines as we established, and you also can remove this back part. So you can replace it with this one. Let's see if I have it the right way. I don't know. And there we go. You can swap these things around, have a little bit of gun control, and then we have another face. Just as a yelling face. Unfortunately, she has like a little bit of a limitations when it comes to the faces. Could have done a little bit more. Then we have some holding hands, well, to hold on to the gun. Then, as obviously as it should be, you do have trigger finger hands, which are straight, and then you also have trigger finger hands, which are on the trigger, actually. Also, the other ones kind of you could use those also as pointy fingers if you would like to. So, you know, giving you a couple of options. Then we have the most standard one yet. Those are fist hands. Everybody has to have those. And then also, I'm just gonna grab these. That's to hold on to the magazines, especially done for that. As such, it does come with a bunch of hands to magazines. I'm just gonna get those out of the way. And then finally, you do have the base, which has the pang on there. Unfortunately, this figure doesn't have a hole in the back. At least I haven't found one. And then you have the claw, and then you have this piece, which I'm just going to call the finger piece, and this weird staff, which we use to move the eyes around. Final thoughts! And this look is so freaking solid. I wish I could say the same about some of the joints, and that's really what I always go back to when I talk about Snail Shell. I don't care much for the floppy bits. I really wish the legs in general were a bit tighter. Also the boots just kind of swivel around all over the place. And the ammo belt, yeah, that also doesn't lock into place at all. So if you're just playing around with this figure, trying to get into pose, it just kind of goes all over the place. Now, all of that being said, it's not the worst thing. You know, I've had figures that are were way more loose, that were way more frustrating to handle. I'm just saying, playability, this one is somewhere in the middle. Also, the lack of like arm movements, that you can't really move it as far forward, kind of restricts some really cool gun holding pose. You can still do all of that, but at that part you're really fumbling around. Now that's all the bad out of the way. The figure looks amazing. Oh my god, I love the different paint applications. You got a bunch of cool accessories. Could have gone with maybe one more face, but what we have here is a great looking package, and in general I feel like this figure is still pretty good. So I will recommend it to all you guys who love fan service and in general just like to have a cool mate that runs around with a big freaking gun. So recommend it, and that's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, VTuber stuff, and whatever Tokiwa Kazane wants.